we do that, you want to do the honors of opening it up on the show?
Oh, I get to open it up.
So
Okay,
we get
cool.
to see whether it pops or you pull or you push.
No, this is,
and then, you know, like little...
I've done this many times in my life.
Many times in your life. And then you got to tell us what it is that it's about, you know?
There's absolutely no way I'm going back to those days. I'm just opening and putting it right there, but I'll go just for the...
There you go.
Because I pour for the...
Yes, sir.
I'm definitely going to do that.
You know that song, pour on a little liquor. You must do it right there, man, you know? For those that are gone.
I used, like I said, I've done this too many times in my life, so...
It's looking good. It's looking good. Nice, nice and golden. And you know why it's nice and golden? Because somebody's got gold out there. I saw a little trophy, and that's what we're going to talk about.
That's the conversation piece, right?
Let's tell them what today is really all about. Guys, today we're very excited. A while ago, we were talking about the Tigers, and they were South African champions. Not only are they South African champions right now, they are the Zone 6 champions. If you did not watch that game, man, there were 3 games. They won all 3. The final game was on fire. We got Ra. He's going to tell us about how he feels, how he's going to prepare for the next round. And we're going to tell everybody how it's all going to get to the final 12. So we're going to talk about that. And, of course, we're going to talk about R1 million prize money in basketball. I've never, ever even thought that would come to South Africa. My man Byron, he's going to be out here. I think we should start playing Q, maybe start a team, see if we can go get that million. That's the thing. And then, of course, the main event. This man is the main event. He understands everything about marketing and sponsorship. He's been involved in, like, major market sponsorships. The ABSA sponsorship, the N1 sponsorship. Yeah, those who were there back in the days when we brought N1, we got this man to sponsor some. I mean, you've been involved in golf days. You've been involved pretty much everywhere. And the question today is really that, is basketball sponsorship ready? And that's something that we're going to touch on, but you're going to tell us what it is that basketball needs to have in order for it to be sponsorship ready. But whether it likes it or not, or anybody's ready or not, we're coming after those sponsorships, and we need the money to turn basketball around.
Well, I mean, the conversation is live right now, and it's great. And this is one of the spillovers of the Cape Town Tigers win. It's not only the win, but they've done a great job of making sure that they're visible in the market and they're speaking to the right people consistently. And then their biggest job that they've done so far is that they had to win on the court. And they've won on the court. They've accomplished the first part of the mission. There's still a long way to go, and I suppose we'll unpack that as we go a little further.
And the minister has written a letter congratulating them, so all of a sudden the minister can say the word basketball.
This is... You said it, not me.
That's something that you mentioned in one of our conversations, to say that may not mean anything.
It might not mean anything. In fact, maybe it means the wrong thing.
Let's have hope.
Let's have hope.
We need the government, we need their support, so I'm hoping that, you know, that letter could be used to try and get something going for basketball.
It's scary, and I don't want to be pessimistic, so I'm going to keep my line of optimism alive for the period of our show. And I mean, like I said, the last time we had the conversation, you were very pro Cape Town Tigers, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm always going to maintain an objective view, and you know that's going to be the status quo as we continue.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, the Mogul Juice is on his way. You don't see him now. You might see him a little later. So don't worry about it. We are going to talk to my man Juice. He's going to also bring his view of what is going on in the basketball world. You know, him and his basketball literature. So we ain't rolling solo, man. This is like the full bench. This is starting 5. Yeah, starting 4. We 5 deep.
So I think a great way to start the conversation, because you've already premised it, is, have you, in our lifetime, ever thought that we would have a conversation about R1 million basketball tournament, or someone even conceptualizing it, just from a perspective of looking at and this is real, from the environment, the sports environment that we're currently in, post-COVID or during COVID, and then every other environmental factor that comes into it with the basketball's popularity amongst fans and the general public. It's still, it's almost unreal to have a conversation.
Man, if that ever happens, and in fact, it's not too far from happening, because this man has hosted one where he gave away 25,000 rand as prize money. So at least, you know, they mentioned something. He initially was talking about 75,000. We need to talk about that, find out where it was 75, and then how it came to 25, whether it's going to be $1 million, then it comes to $500,000 or 250,000. Hey, anything over 100,000, I'm sure any team will be happy to do that.
Anything that just involves paying or giving prize money is a huge achievement.
For $1 million, I think somebody's going to die on that court.
I mean, I go back to 1997 and the PBL and maybe showing a little bit of age, but KwaZulu-Natal Marlins, that picture is there, used to be there in Wembley. They won 250,000 back then, and even then the league was sponsored. And I think they had in excess of a 20 million rand sponsorship because they were staggering it out, obviously. But it just gives an idea of where we are. And then we can do comparatives to other leagues like soccer and what they put out there. And it scales, but you understand how the scale works in terms of ROI and visuals and people that are involved there. So it's interesting.
In fact, let's get to it. The man with the $1 million prize money is right here with us. Are we ready to welcome him, Mr. Byron? How do you pronounce your name again, my man? You Portuguese, right? Or are you Italian? Is he here? Not yet? All right, he's not here yet. I think the production team needs to let us know when he's ready, so we're just going to keep going with this until we are told that he's ready. Obviously, technology it's a thing that is going to take us into the future, and right now the man could not be here. He wanted to be here, but he's got games going on and practice and whatever. He can't be here, but, you know, thank God we don't have to travel places in order to be with somebody. Right now, it's really all about virtual meetings.
Well, I think I'll premise it because I have interviewed him before and I've spoken to him. So he's got a community club, right? And everybody who's been on Junior's group, Let's Talk SA Basketball, will understand that the basis of growth, and I think the basis of growth in the US or anywhere else should be communities. So Edenvale Alliance is based just here in the East Rand. He went ahead and got some permission for a piece of land that he then developed into a basketball court. I know that they say they've got plans for an indoor, but maybe I'm stealing some of his thunder as well. You know
what I'm saying?
So maybe I should stop.
This man knows.
I should stop.
Yo, Byron, how you doing, man? Yo, welcome to the show.
So maybe I should stop. But I mean, I want to keep it around.
So we are told that Ra is ready. I mean, I would have liked Byron. Why is Byron not ready? Mr. Sheriff, we said first Byron, then Ra. So we're gonna wait for Byron so that we can do as we said we would do. You know what I'm trying to say?
I remember you saying we keep it flowing, we keep it fluid. So
we have a running order of some sort.
We did talk about this. Somebody wasn't listening. Huh?
Oh, okay.
Somebody wasn't listening, but it's all good. I mean, hey, we can get this thing perfect. It's a makeshift studio.
100%.
So hey, you know, if you're here listening to this, you know we're not getting paid for this. So I'm sure you can.
But the other premise is that we're trying to have conversations that matter to basketball at the moment, and that's why we have Kaibe here. And it's great that Rap joins you again or joins us again on the show because there's a lot to unpack, and especially as we go forward. This has probably been the most prominent basketball has been on anybody's tongues anywhere, well, at least media-wise. And I'm glad that we get to see, there was a little piece there Musa posted about being on the plane and then the Tigers getting a shout-out. It means something. It does. You know, it's significant. When they got to the airport, you got to see kids from the community out there just welcoming them back, which means that there is following and people are taking note. And this will just gradually continue to grow, and especially if they are able to get through. The next phase of this competition is not a joke. And even the game against Ferroviario was not a joke.
Wow.
They trailed for a large part of that game, right? There were moments, and I couldn't watch all of it, but on the follow-up just a little bit, but there were moments of madness. There was all the drama that you needed. There were big shots. Ferroviario could have won the game on the final play. There's a lot that happened. But I'm glad that the basketball gods saw it fit. We talk about the basketball gods, saw it fit for the Tigers to pick up that win, because that has implications as they advance to the next part, or as they try to qualify out Division East. And get into the first 2 or 3 spots.
Do you feel?
Yeah. Byron will wait. We waited for him, so yeah.
I was just saying that what Q says for me, a couple of things which are really interesting. Number one, there's that famous quote, "Nothing succeeds like success." And to your point, as soon as there looks like there is national success for basketball, you know, I guess the focus on it is elevated. The awareness of basketball and perhaps the conversations around basketball are elevated, so that's great. But number two, to what you also said, is perhaps it's not just one thing, because here we are, we're going to talk Byron, at the same time BNL is still happening, at the same time where we were just having the JBL happening. I think you spoke about there's also potentially a women's tournament, Afrobasket, that is coming. So maybe there's the creation, almost the start of a wave of interest in basketball that will just culminate in everything happening at the right time, fortuitously. And maybe, who knows, that will really do something good for us.
I will tell you this because I've been doing it. There's never shortage of basketball content at any stage. Well, no matter what you're trying to do, there's always stories, and there was always a spin on something. But we will never run out of basketball content, ever. Not even local or continental. We don't even have to leave the shores for basketball content 100%. To exist.
Do you guys think it's the change of a tide here?
I should be asking you. You've seen this whole. People you're acting like you're from the outside. You literally have run events. You've seen the popularity and the fall, and you know a little bit more about them. You know just as much as Kaiba does about the sponsorship and the marketing environment. So maybe you should give us some insight because you are having those conversations consistently.
I'm a born optimist. That's the thing, you know. Like if I tell you this is the change of the tide, I'm gonna say it every day, even at the worst of times. So for me to answer that question is pretty obvious. And also what I'm starting to see in the social media is that people are starting to also turn around their view of the Tigers. You know, perhaps there's good and bad PR that people might look at it and say, yeah, well, they this, they that, and this is what the players are saying and the coaches are saying, whatever. Yes, the Tigers might have to, you know, work around the good PR and ignore the bad PR. So for me, I feel that, you know, the country is really starting to turn. There's people that had, you know, no Tiger fans, and it's okay. It's okay not to have those people who are all about the Tigers. But right now, I think a lot of the people who previously were against the Tigers, they're right behind it, and this is what the country needs.
All right. I think it's time to move on to our conversation.
Hey, man, we're talking about the Tigers. It's all about the excitement. Yo, Byron, are you here, my man? Byron? Is Byron here?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you are louder than us who are here, man. Oh, that is great to know that you're here, man. You're good. How's the practice and everything else that you couldn't? Whoa, look who's here now. The Mogul is here. But yeah, how's the games and practice going there at the Lions? Edenvale Lions. That's your club, right? Is Byron still here?
He froze.
Oh, this man, he probably got a call.
Load shedding.
No, he probably got a call. You know how it is. You call him via Zoom and then... Not on Zoom?
I've never... Well.
Guys, we got hit with load shedding this side, eh?
Load shedding. Hey, man, you know...
That's why you see me in my car via data.
Well, the bottom line is you're here. And welcome, my man. Welcome to the Brick.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You were asking about the games. They went well. We had a couple of games against KES, one of the top high schools in the country. And, yeah, we did well, eh? Dubs all the way. Edenvale Lions, it's just these for us recently.
You said dubs all the way.
Dubs
We're always winning.
Always winning. I like to hear that.
That's how we roll nowadays.
Yo, Byron, man, you look, we've had many chats, and I think right now is a good time to introduce this 1 million rand prize money for your tournament. I mean, why did you even think about that? I know you at some point it was 75, and then it was 25, and you actually paid that out. Was that paid out, first of all? I mean, yes, I see you did say in response to some people on social media, you said you paid it out. Did you pay it out? And how did you pay? Was it cash? Was it EFT? Was it, okay, it's a check that might bounce? What's going on?
No. We take prize money very seriously, eh? If a team wins, they have to be paid straight after the tournament, directly through the sponsors. So, I mean, that tournament was actually supposed to be 70K, but then we didn't have people registering. Honestly, I was quite disappointed, you know. I think, I'm not sure what was going through people's minds and that. But even the 1 million rand one coming up, I mean, that's the goal, you know. That's what we said on Q Show. You know, it may not work out that way. You know, it could be that the first prize money, the first prize is $1 million on its own. We just don't know up until we see how do people come to the table. Because, I mean, for that prize money, we're talking 25K registration fees. So we're going to be talking to teams probably like Tigers, serious people that want to compete for good money, you know. I mean, that initial tournament, it was 25K to the winning team, which was Panthers, which we beat in the round stages with our youngsters. And then 7.5 for second prize, and then it was 2.5 for bronze, and then obviously the medals and the trophies in there.
And tell us about the sponsorships, man. Where do you get all that kind of money, and where do you think you'll get $1 million from?
We don't feel that that's a lot of money. That's the thing in basketball in this country. Like we've always been behind the behind the sport locally and all of that. But at the end of the day, if we're going to play, then we've got to play for proper prize money, whether it's leagues, tournaments or whatever the case may be. So currently our main sponsor is Build It. There's talks about an indoor court there being built, the first of its kind. But like I said, these are just speculations and talks. We don't know whether if it's going to end up being that, but yeah, we're looking to build a dome that side, and then basically dealing with companies. We're reaching out to the corporates now. We've been dealing with the big media houses, the news channels. So if we get a lot of leverage behind that tournament, then I think definitely in the prize money won't be an issue to raise.
What sort of timelines are you thinking about in terms of this tournament? And do you take other events like the FIBA tournaments that are happening into account when you're doing your planning?
Yeah, so obviously we're looking at probably end of next year, possibly, but that's a very tight kind of timeline. Just because, firstly, there's a lot of stuff going on. We were already planning to see where we're going to host this thing, but I think we want to do it there, So let's say the indoor court maybe takes 8 months to be built. Then, yeah, but probably we'll definitely have a tournament next year. That's the plan. I don't know when, but if we have to move the big one out to maybe 2023, I'm not too sure, but the way things are looking, we're hoping end of next year. And then, yeah, man, about the FIBA thing, obviously, it's like I say, it takes a lot of effort from a small academy that's never taken any money from the game. We've been building it for 7 years, and I think that's what makes us different. It's all good and well, and yes, we can put money behind this thing, but we need real love for the game. We need to develop the game from the ground up.
Did you just say you're building an indoor court in eight months? Are you in China? I mean, I know they built a hospital in about a week, right? I mean, this is South Africa. You still have to do the plans, or is everything ready? You ready to do construction, or what's going on there?
We've already the architects have been there. We already we just need basically sign off, hopefully by Ekurhuleni, and then we can start. But I mean, yeah, however long that takes, I guess that's how long the timeline for the tournament would be if we're going to host it that side.
But is the arena or the building of the arena the precursor to you hosting this tournament? And the question I'm asking is, why would the tournament not happen? What must not happen for the tournament not to happen?
Well, I mean, basically, obviously, like I said, we were already planning to see where we can host it. But I think now we've 90% we want to host it by us. So we've only got that outdoor court there. And then we don't feel that that's the right structure for this kind of a tournament. Because remember, there's going to be ticket sales. We need to chat to the likes of CompuTicket, Cricket, whatever the case may be. So remember, just on the registration fees, you're looking at if there's 16 or 20 teams, plus minus 400K. So at least that's going to cover us to a point. And that's what we said about the 70K one. And then when we were 3-5 registration, no one wanted to pay it. So it just depends on how do people come forward, once we get everything done. But at this point in time, we're finalizing specifics, we're finalizing media partnerships and all of that. Then when we've got all our points down, then we can look at how do we roll this thing out, basically.
Sounds to me like, if the building of the arena is something that must happen first, man, you should be looking at 2030. Otherwise, take it to the Emperor's Palace, because I know these things, man, they don't come so easy. I mean, what do you understand about that kind of timeline when it comes to building an arena before you can have the tournament?
Yeah, I think to what Byron's saying, it makes sense to have the plans and to have the discussions. And to what we're saying about the show as well, you have to be flexible. You can't go in and say we're having this thing next year, and then in 12 months' time you haven't even broken ground yet because of politics, because of bureaucracy, because of whatever paperwork. You need to keep things fluid, and perhaps I think, as Byron says, maybe there is a conversation about slightly different tournaments. So maybe there is a big tournament that will happen in the new arena, but maybe there will be something just to keep the interest there, to keep people involved, to say, okay, hey, we're going to do a repeat of the one that you've done previously, the 25K one, just so that, there's something that's going on, even if this tournament moves out later. One of the things that is clear from all of us who've been in basketball for a while is that basketballers, number one, they will pay to play. It's very weird to be a sports person who sort of, yes, I will pay to play a sport. And hey, that's cool. So you've got guys who are interested, who are committed, who want to do it. But we also know that a lot of our basketballers are not in a position to pay huge money because of who they are and where they come from. So, you know, there's all sorts of things that I think Byron and team will number one, probably have already experienced, but will experience again in trying to get huge numbers and huge registration fees. But I guess because the show is the brick, and that's his brick that he's bringing, all you can say is we applaud you and we stand by you and we support you. So, hey, keep doing it. And if it takes a year, if it takes 2 years, you know, we'll still be there and we'll still be behind you. So keep doing it, man.
So, Q, you had something to say to Byron? Because I got 2 more things, and then I think this will be it, man.
No, I think Byron and I have already had the conversation, but we can rehash it. But just have to be. I'm always a realist, and I don't want to be not optimistic about what's happening. I think the foundation is great, as I said it just a little bit earlier. You're starting in the community. You're getting support from the community, and that's a great place to start. Your dreams are valid. And did no one else tell you that it's not possible? Until people always say it's impossible until it's done. You're a businessman, so you understand the importance of planning and the importance of executing on the plan. And we're just going to be here to either support the ride. We'll do what we can from our side in terms of bringing our own bricks. But I love the audacity and the gumption to just go out there and try and make this thing happen. So whatever you need from our side, we're here to assist if possible.
Just 2 things from me, Byron. We spoke about it in our many meetings. If it's not aligned to the federation, it'll just stay small. So you have to find a way to align it with the federation, whether it's Ekurhuleni, whether it's National Federation, whether it's Gauteng Federation. There has to be some sort of an alignment there. And of course, you have to be able to say to the guys, you are able to give your sponsors real return of value. And essentially, what we mean by that is that the real return is when you can show the amount of eyeballs that are going to be watching this tournament, whether it's in media value, whether it's exposure, or whatever the case may be. That, for me, is something that we still have to get right in terms of how many people actually watch basketball and what it is that we're saying a sponsor will get from basketball. But other than that, my man, I'm saying, look, if you keep watching this show, this man right here has done many sponsorships across the board, not just basketball, not just soccer, not across the board. So keep listening and hear what he has to say. Maybe you can learn a thing or two to make sure that you know you're ready for this thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks for all the positive comments. We're very grateful for that. And we definitely, like I said, we're behind the Tigers. We're behind, whoever wants positive things for the sport. And I mean, at the end of the day, we got to sacrifice, Yeah, we've been sacrificing for a long time, and it's got to come down to something sustainable now. But the real deal, all of it is going to surface at the end of the day. And I don't see it taking longer than we've been talking for a long time. I follow everyone and, and all of that. I come from a rich history of the game. But then, guys, literally 5 years. If there's still issues after 5 years, then honestly, I don't know how long this thing's going to take, So we need to all work together and make this thing happen.
Look, here's a good thing that's going on right now. And I don't know if you know it, but the news just broke. I kind of knew about it for a little while now. SABC is going to be broadcasting the NBA games. Now, that's big for South Africa because all of a sudden, every kid out there will be watching basketball. And who knows, maybe this is something that's going to spark whatever it is that we need to be sparked on the ground. And in fact, there might be other news depending on how the talks go because who knows, this show might end up on SABC. But just hold on. You never know. But all I'm saying is check this out, man. This is big for you and it's big for the country. But the biggest thing that is going on in terms of basketball and the turn of the tide is the fact that SABC is going to be out there broadcasting NBA games, the biggest and the largest and literally the most exciting league in the world. And all the kids are going to want to be like those kids. And for as long as we're doing what we're doing, there's going to be a whole lot of excitement around the game by all of these kids across South Africa. Anything closing, guys? Or this is it?
That's
Byron,
it.
you want to say... Yeah, we want to say anything else before you leave us, man?
No, I'm with you guys all the way. Even us, we go way back, Cabby, Q, everything. So we all on the same page. But I keep saying the one thing I'm going to push for, and I definitely think we need to do, is we need to start solidifying things locally. You know, like, let's support the Americans, let's support the Europeans. I've always said this with everything in my business dealings and all of that. Until we solidify things locally, we're always going to have these kinds of issues. Let's solidify structures here. And I mean, then the world's our oyster. Then we can compete in Africa, overseas. Yeah, fine, Tigers are stepping up. There's been a lot of positive things happening lately, but we have to solidify things locally for us, for our youth at the end of the day, and our future in the game. So that's all I want to say.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy a golden brick that we're going to put out here. And
with $1 million on it.
Yeah, everybody that does exactly what it is that they say they're going to do or going to receive that golden brick. It might be plastic, but it's going to look gold. Something that you can put out there and say, this is what I did to basketball. Anyway, thank you very much, man. And
thank you.
With it.
Thank you so much.
We'll
Thanks for having
be in
me.
touch. All right,
I appreciate it.
So everybody,
I'm watching the show, so I'm interested. I watched before I came on. I'm going to listen in now. I want to hear. I want to learn, like you were saying, you know.
Love it, man. Good luck to you. Cheers.
God bless.
Chance, I'm telling you, I'm really going to buy this thing. I'm going to create
I love it.
It's going to be like one of these, like show trophies, right?
Yeah.
When a person says, I'm going to do this, and they actually do it.
Get my own golden brick on my
And it's going to be golden like some of these. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to drink any of this stuff. I was told that, you know, after a few glasses, I kind of like start talking like this. So I'm going to try and...
Yeah, just I think there's a lot of agreement here around you. We're not gonna say
over here, man. Where you at? Come over here, Juice. You part of the... Oh, look at this man with the low... He thinks I got covered up in my house.
You want to watch the cameras? You got to come on in quickly, yo. Take a seat. Take a seat.
We keep it flowing here, man. We keep it flowing. We don't mind, you know. Yeah, cats can be late. I remember back then when I used to do interviews at YFM, also pushing basketball, and all these guys, you know, the artists. Yo, man, traffic, man. You know, let me tell you something, man. You know, the guy will be like an hour late.
This is you're saying he's our superstar, our artist. It's the beard. The beard. He's got a beard allowance.
Hey, man, you got a beard allowance.
Time allowance.
Yeah. James Harden. Oh, you guys have to now keep moving.
We got to keep.
Production. No. Now, how are we going to have this flow if now you have to, you know, put the mark on the table and everybody gets
No,
it won't work. It won't work. All right.
Only drinks on the table.
Only drinks on the table. And, yeah. So all we're saying is welcome.
Yes, sir.
And
yes,
you
sir.
got the mic.
Yes,
I suppose between the two of you guys, you
Whenever
say, look, you know, we want to talk about that. Here's your drink.
I mean, we do our thing. Of course.
Yeah,
that's right.
We're not wine Wednesday.
I mean,
we are whiskey Wednesday.
That's the way. That's the way we do it.
I know you enjoy your whiskey.
Q is a whiskey man. You know, I
so glad we acknowledge this here. It's a known fact
from Q. So hey, cheers to that.
But let me tell you something, right? So we know that Hennessy is doing some crazy things around basketball. I wonder if Q makes a call to Glenfiddich. They might just think about something to do with this show.
Why would I want to change something that I also, you know what I'm saying? Let's leave Glenfiddich out of the spirit of the NBA situation. You know what I'm saying?
Bring Hennessy. I know you know something. You know Pearl. You know Scoop. You can call him up and say, hey, you know,
I did something with Hennessy, so I might just have that conversation.
Have the conversation.
On behalf of the brick.
The more the better, man. We're not saying stop what you're doing with Scoop.
I mean, hey.
We're just saying, hey, the more the merrier.
He's my man and all that, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
So holla at them. Next time we're having a whiskey here, man.
So we're moving along to the next part of our conversation.
There you go. That's my man.
We don't even know if Rice, they haven't told us if Rice, yeah?
Well, no, we can premise it. We can.
Oh, yeah. So
we can still have because I know that this man here, he put on social media and he said, yo, I've got a lot to say specifically about the Cape Town Tigers, and he's loud on social media. This one here is everywhere. There's a comment about basketball. There's a silly gif waiting right there via Sensei. Or there might be some knowledge hidden in a sarcastic tone or joke or something, you know, or there really is just all-out cynicism like. But let's carry on with the optimistic part of this, because this is the brick.
I think to send their teams through, you have to, even despite some of the results, congratulate, a team for being able to come and learn more than anything from such a great experience. I was looking at some of the rosters, for instance, with the team from Mauritius.
A long way to here.
Their team literally consisted of nationals. no one from outside of Mauritius. And for you, immediately that tells you that that's one of the things that, you know, this entire experience is going to empower each and every one of them so that they go back and continue to, you know, improve the levels of the game wherever they come from. You know, the team from Zambia, you know, the Magic, I mean, Moz will always be Moz, and they'll always give us, you know, a good run for our money. But at the end of the day, you have to congratulate the Tigers for continuing to rise above and also show steady improvement within their play.
Man, this is exciting. This is exciting. The best time to be alive right now with basketball in South Africa. I mean, everything so cool is happening. I mean, we just talked about SABC starting to, having finalized the deal to showcase NBA basketball. I mean, everything is just coming together so nicely, and I'm hoping this momentum is just going to keep rolling and rolling, and this is just going to, you know, just become bigger and bigger, you know? And that, for me, is really the exciting thing. And talking about Mauritius, now they've learned one thing. The game is not about a three-point play.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing. Right here, we have, right now, let's introduce our other guest, Mr. Ra. I call him Ra. Edwards.
I call him 718.
718? Okay, yeah. The 718. Ra, are you there?
Yeah, I'm in, man. What's
Raphael.
going on, fellas?
Brooklyn in the Hey, where's the ones and twos, just so you can introduce people with the low music. You know what I'm saying? I think next time we're gonna have the ones and twos so that every time we introduce someone, you know, like we have that.
Where Brooklyn at?
Where Brooklyn at? Where? Hey, you know, welcome. You must be one excited owner right now, eh?
I'm extremely excited, man. Extremely excited.
Wow. Tell us about it, man. Tell us how anxious you were going into this. The expectations from everyone and the results and everything else, man. Just take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, the expectations was extremely high, you know, none higher than the expectations we put on ourselves, but just knowing that we're representing the country and all we had to fight to get to that level of representing the country, representing Cape Town, representing Gugulethu, representing ourselves. So, you know, it was extremely high. And it's hard because we don't have the level of talent in other teams that we can gauge ourselves by, you know? So our best competition is against ourselves in practice. And then we don't have anyone to practice against other teams. So we knew the Mo's team was going to be that bar, that level. And I was really anxious to see them play as a unit and to play against us. So once we came out victorious, you know, it was an amazing feeling. Yes, we didn't play a perfect game or completely even 70% of our brand of basketball, but I think that says a lot about our team, that we haven't played really good basketball yet, and we're still beating some really good teams.
Okay, I was going to say, rather an ugly win than a pretty loss. And at the end of the day, you take that 3-0 because nobody looks back at the result and says, hey, you know, there was a missed shot or whatever. It says W Cape Town Tigers, and it's etched in history from year on in. There's a lot of optimism around the team now. What is the preparation plan looking like going into December?
Well, we're, and this is actually a conversation I was going to have with my guys coming up. Like our first day of practice will be back on Friday. We're treaded in some dark waters right now, you know, these next 6 weeks. Because not only the preparation, but now that we have this national recognition, now, you know, people from the outside start talking and, hey, you should be playing more, or you should be starting, or why isn't this person doing that? Or who's getting the credit for coaching, or who's doing this? And, you know, Sun Tzu said it best, you know, it's part of the art of war, you know, kill from within. And this is the time where people are really about to reach that level of success, where all the extra stuff start coming in. So I really have to try, with the help of Relton and Vince, to keep everybody grounded and leveled as we prepare for these 6 weeks and what we need to do to be better as a team and a unit, but, you know, mentally, physically, and also spiritually.
I think that is, it's something to really address. You might also need a psychologist, so that, you know,
Coach Relton suggested that we have someone on deck to help, because I definitely can't do it all. neither can they, you know, so we need help. So we're definitely looking into that, as you say it.
That's good to know, because I can tell you this right now. We're so excited to see, and it'll be really, really sad to see the team implode because of internal issues. I mean, I've even seen people making comments of, you know, who's the real coach here? Is it Relton? Is it the owner? Is it? And those are the things that, for me, I don't even have to ask. I don't care. I just want to see a good court. And if you want to keep that as a family matter, you don't even have to tell us anything about that. You just keep doing what you're doing so far. Whatever it is that you've done is working, and just continue doing what you do.
Yeah, exactly. It's and I've seen the comments also, and it's funny because, you know, people talk, but they don't have any details, and they're not privy to any information that goes on behind the scenes. So, you know, one of the comments that I heard was that Relton is a softy coach and he can't coach and he's not up for this. We heard the comment that Vince still wishes he could play and he's not a coach at all. And then we heard the comment that all I do is fitness because all they see is the guys running on the beach. So, you know, it's funny because people have no clue, no information on what's going on. And if they did, those comments wouldn't even come out their mouth. We have a good structure on how we do things, and we're going to continue doing things that way.
I think one of the most important things, especially in a situation where you do not understand what's going on, specifically in the back end of things, you need to appreciate the product that is being rendered or given to you, you know. And for me, that's one of the things that while some people would say, yeah, but so-and-so is not playing. Yeah, so-and-so is not, you know, getting enough minutes or whatever the case may be. The fact is that you've got players that are literally ready for their opportunity when it comes up. You know, case in point, I'll make an example about Lebo. You know, for most of the games he did not play, and then on the last game he just gave us a very few fruitful minutes, and that's where you see that big match temperament and everything else that's going on in the background to say, stay ready for your opportunity. You know, so if anything, you know, the mindset is something that can be appreciated because you don't see guys coming in sulking because they didn't play enough. They just know to embrace the moments that they are getting. So in that, I'd just like to commend you and your coaching staff for continuing, you know, as you said, the spiritual and mindset upliftments and all that. So that is definitely one to be commended.
Thank you very much. And you know, it's appreciated that you notice. You know, because it's not tough. It's not hard. I mean, you know, it's extremely hard. You've played basketball before, and to sit on the bench all game and to stay locked in mentally. So when your number is called, Lebo, those minutes he played were huge.
Mm-hmm. Huge, yeah.
Not even offensively, but defensively. And that's what I've been telling people, you know, when they were like, oh, Lebo, he's a different level than you guys know him to be and see him to be. He came in that game and made right decisions to the basket, 2 driving kicks to P, cut without the ball, finish, and his defense was just crazy. Like, he's a different player. He's a better player, and I believe he's a better man in the time that he's been here, stronger mentally. So, you know, there's just hats off to him.
Well, I'm excited about that because that man that you're talking about, he is my little man's coach, or at least he was before he went to the Tigers. He was coaching my little man there at St. David's, and I'm really excited to see that, you know, he's really progressing. I mean, my boy was watching that game. He was going crazy, talking about, this is my coach. And you know what? Let's not talk about the politics, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the Tigers. I'm excited for the country. I mean, we were talking about the fact that, you know, SABC is about to start showing NBA games. I think there's so much to celebrate. If anybody that can see wrong in what it is that is happening now, I just don't know what it is that they would need for South Africa to be at this point. Q?
Look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Raph, you guys have done an outstanding job. The win was significant. It's a big first step because the way that the conversations around the game have started to change, and at least there's a spotlight that hasn't existed for at least 25 years or 24 years, and it's back. And it's going to continue that way. It does put more pressure on you to win. And here's a question about preparation and going forward. Just in terms of your team, are you looking to add any pieces? Because I know, and I don't know if you're allowed to answer this or not, but How important is it that you keep the entire team together now and just use what's in your squad, especially that you've now got a little bit of a gauge? Because it's only going to get tougher. You're going to face teams with similar athleticism and a lot more chemistry. Is that a thought in the way that you're going to prepare in the next 6 weeks?
It definitely is a thought. The unit that we have, we're going to keep getting better. And there's room to add players. But, all I would say to that, Q, is we will be better. The next time you guys see us, we will be better. Just like how we were better from the national championship game till now, we will be better.
How do you feel about how the game was going up until the end? Were you really nervous? Or, obviously anybody game up until the end. Or take us through your emotions throughout the last game with the Bear.
Before the game started, I was nervous. After, you come out just like a fight, you feel that first punch, and then you get the feel and the movement and the timing. And I basically knew in the first quarter that we had these guys. My main concern was us. If we play our brand of basketball, because at spots you can see where the ball is whipping around and it's swinging and guys are taking wide open shots, and it just looks beautiful. And then there's times where, and this is where having individual talent creeps in and kind of hurts you, because these guys are so talented individually. They're like, man, I can just come down on the first shot, do what I want to do, pull up, take a shot, because they're so good. So this is kind of that level of gauging of, we got to stick within the system. And our system, we let these guys play. We let these guys shoot. We don't condemn them for shooting as long as it's a good shot. So, that crept into it. And I was just like, as long as we pick it up and play our brand of basketball, I knew we had this team.
Are you going to prepare for the second round? And I suppose, I'm not too sure if you're able to tell us exactly how the second round is going to work, whether it's going to be hosted here or how it's all going to work. And right here is my man who understands sponsorships at the highest level. We're going to be talking to him after we talk to you. You must tune in the show or stay on the show in case you want to ask him some things. And this basketball is not going to go far unless there's money backing it. But I'm really interested to understand, what is the plan? How are you going to play against the best of the best, which I don't know if you can keep going back to Jozi Nuggets to test yourself in Cape Town. I'm not too sure if there's a team strong enough to really test your skill. How are you going to prepare for the next the second round of the qualifiers?
Well, there's not a team here in Cape Town that's strong enough to do it. We're really going to lock in and get deep and dark without training for about 3 to 4 weeks. Then we're going to come up a little bit and start tapering off and preparing for these games. We may bring a team in to have practice games for us for like one whole weekend and bring them in and have practice games. But
a local team or this team?
No, a team probably from Joburg, probably even a put together team, like all-star team, and come play against us. It doesn't even have to be a real team under a flag. And then, but we're a self-contained unit, and mentally we're going to lock in amongst ourselves and really push ourselves to be better. And then if we could get that extra team to come in and play against us, that's a bonus. But we're gonna lock in. We have the game tape. We know exactly what we need to do to get better. And the good thing about it is we know how to do it to get better. So,
Rap, I know you've seen some of the talk around a tournament of some sort. Have you considered, never mind the tournament part of it, but depending on how it can be framed, and Kaibe is here to help us with the sponsorship aspect, but bringing in a team from Angola, because, you don't see them unless you qualify, and they'll give a really good gauge, because we're one of it doesn't have to be their league winners. You could get one of their top or two or three teams, and they'll give you a real idea of the style of basketball that you're going to come up against, or maybe even a team from one of the other regions close by, just to give the physicality gauge that you need to test your guys. It'll give them that real world, that real simulation before the qualifiers. Is that a thought? Have you thought about it in that way?
Yeah, I would love to do it, especially if we had some help and some backing. I would love to do it, and probably around the 3 week mark, I would love to do it and lock in and play like 3 games. So it's it's up for discussion.
There's a gentleman I'll introduce you to. His name is Matosh. He runs a club in Angola. And I think if you can get yourself to Angola, he'll take care of everything else, because that's what he has done for us every time we play the Masters. Either he takes care of you when you go there, or they can get themselves to Cape Town. They funded by him, and he's a very great guy. I think there's something there that you guys can talk about in terms of them experiencing Cape Town, and like the entire team being sponsored to get to Cape Town. So I think there's something there, and their team is obviously a Masters team, but the way they played in Durban, something that I spoke to you about briefly, thinking, I was already thinking ahead that if you're going to have a good game, it would be against these guys. I mean, they thrashed in the finals. I think they won by about 40 or 50, and they were on point. I mean, sure, they should be beatable because they're, 30 plus, but they could also bring their young guys to just make it a little bit more competitive. And I think that will give you the kind of practice session that you'd be looking for.
That would be amazing. That would really be amazing if they could come here. Because like you said, at least they get to experience Cape Town, and we could have 3 games with them at least. I think that'll be great, and I would really appreciate it.
So I don't know, guys. I mean, I am really, really excited. Let me have this for a second, man. This man here, I spoke to you about the king in Lesotho, right? You remember that? Remember that conversation, Ra? Yes. This man knows the king personally. And maybe one of the games can be hosted by the king in Lesotho. What are your thoughts about that? That they all sponsored by the king, the Majesty's tournament.
You're putting him under the bus.
That's right.
That's
right
there.
That's a good Majesty's tournament.
Yeah, His Majesty, fortunately, is a big sports fan, and he was very excited about the recent football results, where one team lost terribly to another team. I won't mention anything beyond that. But basketball has been big in Lesotho for some time. Perhaps it's not as big currently, again, through the pandemic and other things that are going on in the country. But there's always, he is accessible. So it is something that, and we wouldn't ever go through him. We'd obviously go through his office and through the right channels.
And the son loves basketball.
But there's all sorts of stuff that could be done and it wouldn't, I don't think it would just be the Tigers. It would be that bridge between Lesotho basketball and SA basketball, or even the SADC region basketball. There are games that are happening in Lesotho in December for youngsters that are across a number of different sports. So definitely it's possible. But I guess the big thing is to also what you said earlier, it's all about sponsorship and backing. And I think you mentioned it right up front that you're never going to get sponsors without, number one, performance, and number two, without viewership. Those two things are the key fundamentals. And at least you guys already have a good story to talk about in terms of performance. I think viewership is increasing. And with SABC now bringing sport to the masses, viewership will increase. So I think there are also positive signs that one can approach potential sponsors with, because you've done perhaps the basics of performance and there is an audience that is interested. But yeah, we will continue chatting, because there is nothing more difficult than getting any corporate to part with money for a product or for a proposition that they're not sure about, that they don't buy into. So if you haven't clarified that proposition, and if you aren't able to show that corporate what they're going to get in terms of return, we're just going to be talking at ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we will have this conversation, and yeah, Ra, we are more than happy to have the conversation with you, even with local potential partners in Cape Town, because there are all sorts of different ways of trying to manage things. But yeah, we'll more than be happy to have this conversation.
So just so you know, this man here, Ra, he was involved in the R1 billion sponsorship for PSL. So he has been involved there with ABSA, right? That's right. So he's been involved in the big stuff. He understands the sponsorship, but obviously soccer is huge. It deserves whatever it is that has been negotiated. Basketball is still a teeny tiny little sport in South Africa compared to the big ones. And truly speaking, it might actually require a few billionaires who just want to see South Africa do well to just throw money at this thing and see where it goes.
Guys, let's let Rap speak, but the game is growing. You can go at high school level, you can go to university level, you can look wherever you want. No matter what people say about small is relative. It's just not marketed well. And that's the only thing that's happening. Participation is up everywhere, right? Doesn't matter how you look at it. People are playing the game. They love the game. We are just a step away, and the Cape Town Tigers have taken, like I said, that first step. And that's why you have to love what they've done. You got to love the winning part of it.
Love the optimism. And this is what we're saying. You guys have done an amazing thing on your side. This is your break, and that break is pretty big. It's pretty big considering where basketball is right now. And perception sometimes is truth, or perception can be regarded as truth, even though it's not the actual reality on the ground. Bra, your views?
Yeah, my views is, first of all, my man, pleasure meeting you. And even, I appreciate you even thinking about helping us out. You know, the organization does need help to push forward financially. And that's just it. We've been shouldering and bearing the load on ourselves this whole entire time. And, you know, we started with an office and everything before the pandemic. We weathered the storm through the pandemic, and we're still shouldering the load. You know, you see the talent level that we have and the way we treat these guys, you know, the accommodations we give them, et cetera. I would definitely be interested in something with Soweto having a game, but not only a game, also if you brought some of your coaches, because then they can see our skills training session, and then now they can take those seeds, just some of them, even if they picked up one drill or something, and then go back to your country, and then now they're able to implement it and start teaching your younger guys, no, you don't shoot the ball this way, you shoot like this, or the body movements. And so I would be interested in doing simultaneously, right? We have the game, but then in the mornings, because our team always do skill work in the mornings, now the coaches are able to sit down and work with us and really see how to teach these guys how to get better. Well, the young boys and the girls, really. And then now go back to your country, and they're like, hey, now we have a small blueprint, and we can start building up our basketball system over here. So I'll be very interested in that if you guys are willing.
And tell us about your experience with the guys playing on a wooden floor for the first time, because I think in Cape Town, I don't know if there's a wooden floor in Cape Town. I don't know if
we do. we practiced on one. But we're constantly. I mean, I know you guys probably saw videos. I'm out there with the mop. I'm mopping the wooden floor. We have birds to get in the gym, so I'm mopping up bird stuff all off the floor. You know, but it's a wooden floor. It's not regulation size. So we have to do extra running because it's not regulation size. But playing on that court at UJ was amazing. They loved it because now, brand of basketball, you get to see the spacing so much better. You get to see the driving lanes and, you know, the speed of the game. Like Billy one time did a move, took one dribble from NBA three-point line, and he was at the rim. And guys couldn't get over there in fast enough to stop him. So now you really get to see the speed and the talent of these guys on a regulation court. So they loved it.
Imagine if there were 2,000 fans in that arena. I mean, that would have been crazy.
Oh, man.
That would have been crazy.
It would have been rock. I wish, man, because right when Ben drove on the drive and kick, you know, I remember watching the ball go up because, you know, we always work on shooting and certain things you look for with the shot. One of the things is the ball traveling over the layup box, right? A lot of people don't know that or haven't heard of that, but the arc of the ball goes over the layup box. And it's not me, it's just mathematics. But I remember the ball going up, and when I looked up, I saw everyone in the VIP section. When that ball went through, oh, they were jumping up and down. They were going crazy. And I was like, wow. You know, I stood up, I just took a deep breath, and I was like, wow. Once I saw the shot go up high enough, I said, this is good. Because Evans is cash. You know, Evans is cash. So once that ball went up, I saw it high enough. I said, oh, this is good.
Nah, I don't want to, because I'm going to go to the other side, because 9 seconds later, there was another shot. Like, that must have been scary as well. It was scary watching.
Oh, it was extremely scary. But not only did they take one shot, us not boxing out allowed them to get 3. And I was like, one of them was point blank. And I was like, oh my God. When he missed that shot, and I kept looking at them and looking at the clock. And I just said it was done.
Look, let me tell you something, man. I was supposed to be calling that game. I'm not even a commentator, right? I mean, Q and Slepe and Bumi probably would have done a much better job. I was watching the game. I didn't know what to say. I mean, I was just out for words. It was just one exciting game. My heart was pumping. I'm supposed to be neutral, and I kept saying, we. I'm like, you know what? We need to grow this game so that the commentators can do a good job doing what they do best. We can't be there and, Cabby, we need a person who can announce the team. Okay, I'm running there. I'm announcing the team. Oh, you got to run back, do the commentary. I cannot do everything.
Listen, I had friends in New York that were writing me. They're like, the commentators really want you guys to win, huh?
Look,
that's hilarious.
We're here, we're laughing, we're excited. Man, I'm hoping we're going to have this show again after the tournament in December. And we're doing whatever we can to make sure that this tournament comes back to South Africa. Same venue, with fans this time. If you guys do your job in terms of, making sure the team is ready, we're gonna go out there, do our job, and make sure that we bring this tournament here without you having to dig deep in your pocket.
Yeah, we're gonna do our job. We're gonna do our job, and we're gonna be more than ready. We're gonna be overly ready. And like I said, Cabby, you and I have private conversations already. Anything you guys could do that could help to draw in on our end, for what we need, man, it'll just be a blessing. It'll just make our jobs a little easier over here.
Conversations are already happening, man, so don't worry about it. In fact, this show is dedicated to talking about that kind of stuff. So I don't know if you want to stick around because we need to jump into this man's conversation.
Yeah, we do.
Because we need to know and understand, is basketball sponsorship ready, or what do we need to do? Who can we talk to? Can somebody do us a favor? Or whatever the case may be. It's not a lot of time. A lot of the times you'll find that, brands have a year, 2-year plans. And now we're saying, hey, listen, we need this money in a month. And that is something that we're going to talk about to figure out if we have somebody who understands this very well. What are the things that we need to do? So you want to stay on the line, or you'd rather watch?
Yeah, I'm going to stay on the line. I'm going to turn the camera off and just check it out. But I would like to thank you guys, all the support and everything. I'd like to thank you guys. I'd like to thank all our fans that's out there in SA and in New York. I believe we're going to be the first team in Africa that has a following here, following in New York and in Europe, like a fan base, an organic fan base that's following us, and that's amazing. Please, everyone out there, follow our Instagram page and keep up with what we're doing. It's a basketball page, but also very much so a lifestyle page. So you get to see a lot of things, and you get to see the guys up close and personal, and their amazing personalities, etc. The Instagram page is the Cape Town Tigers. Anyone interested after this and emailing me about any other sponsorships, etc., the email is Raphael at thecapetowntigers.com. So, I'm here for it all, and we're going to push. You see how hard we've been working. We're going to keep going.
Let me throw something in there. If you help Ralph, or Raphael, sorry, I've got a friend called Ralph, so that's why it's better I just say Ralph. If you help the Tigers get a sponsor, you getting 15%, or is it 20? Is it?
Right?
A golden brick.
Everybody got to eat.
Everybody got to eat, man. And I'm saying, if somebody's listening out there, people are working for big corporates. They have access to people that we don't know. I'm saying, if you are able to make it happen, even if you do not do the presentations, just an introduction, there's got to be something that you can get for it, and that will be above board. You get whatever, or you can name your price. It's better. Yeah, it's better than, you sitting with a CEO or CMO or whatever the case may be, and you don't feel like, what's the point if I'm just going to get these guys rolling and I get nothing? You will be the VIP at all Tigers games. You will get your share. We'll make sure you chauffeur there. We'll make sure you get some of them drink. I mean, we'll
super fan.
You go to the Seychelles for free to go play basketball there, man.
I told the president of BAL, Amadou Gallo Falls, 2 years ago that, I introduced myself. I told him that I have a brand new team in Cape Town Tigers. And I said, by you guys' second season, we will be in your league and we will be the face of the BAL. And I told him that 2 years ago. And he reminded me of that the other night. And we were laughing about it. And I was like, well, you know, I'm almost there.
I went to the FIBA website, and a South African is the face of the Tigers, at least on the picture that they're featuring. They're talking about, you know, everybody now focused on the southern part of Africa, which hasn't happened in I don't know how many years. You look at their Twitter page, it's got not even Twitter, Facebook, 6.7 million followers, Twitter, million plus. I mean, like, that is huge for the Tigers. And imagine if you end up lifting that trophy as the champions of the BAL.
And go to the BAL page and go to the BAL's Instagram page and look at the pictures they have up, and who's the pictures of, who they're tagging in their page. So, you know, that should tell you.
That is great. Q, you want to take us as to what happens next in terms of how things are going to end up in the Elite 16, they call it?
Well, there's two divisions, right? So Elite 16, 8 teams. This weekend is a qualifying window. We'll get to see just a little bit more of who the potential competition is going to be.
And it's happening in Tanzania, right?
There's Tanzania, Yaoundé in Cameroon, and then there's one more venue. And again, most groups are 4. I think there might be one group with 5, and it's always 2. With these tournaments, you have to wait until the tournament actually starts to see who's there and to see who's registered. So in theory and on paper, and even when they put out the groups, they write there at the bottom. They say groups will be determined by, and are subject to change depending on it. But
it's an expensive tournament to be a part of.
It's an expensive tournament to be a part of, but it's also travel. And as the Cape Town Tigers can attest to, there's registrations. FIBA, you know, it's a tricky thing. And you only find out about it once you've touched down. Matero Magic found out about it. They couldn't play their 4 players in the opening game. It happens that way. And the only way you learn is the hard way. I've seen it happen over 10, 12 years, you know, even over 20 years as a player, and then just looking from the outside in. But ultimately, yeah. So two divisions, 8 teams per division is where we're heading. That's the Elite 16. Division East should be decided this weekend. I think there is some of Division West happening as well. Again, 4 top 2 will progress. 4 top 2 will progress.
I thought it was 8, 3 goes through, and then 8 goes through.
We're only getting to the 8. We haven't even got to the 8. This is the first part. We have 2 of the 8.
Jesus.
We have two
I'm
of the 8.
getting confused. Somebody
so there's Group D, E, and F, right? That's the East Division. Group A, B, C are the West Division.
Yeah, so 2, 2, 2 makes it, and then it's 6, and then 6.
And then wild card, which is the best loser.
Then it's 8.
Then it's 8.
Then 3 goes through, and then 3 goes through. They make 6.
They make the 6.
And then 6 joins the other 6, and then it's 12.
6, and that's the BAL.
That's how I understand it, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
The best of the losing 3 are let in also.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And you're ready for that. You don't have to worry about if I lose and you in there, you're ready to go out there. You're going to be the top 3. You go into the BAL.
We're approaching this as we're heading into this situation, and we're going to go undefeated. And I'm not just saying that like some people just talk and this, and this. We're going to put in the work to assure that. We're going to work.
My man, Ra, good luck. I don't know if anybody else has something to say. Juice? Everybody? Yeah? Best of luck, my brother.
Best of luck.
I think you guys have done us proud, and you already won. You're already successful. This is already a big thing. Whatever happens, the basketball gods will be behind the Tigers, and hopefully we make it all the way through. But I'm just excited that basketball is exactly where it's supposed to be, exactly at the right time. And there's so many other good things that are happening. Good luck, my brother, and God bless.
Yes, sir. Fellas, thank you. Appreciate you.
Please, man. You heard it from here, from the man himself. I mean, everything is good all around. Go through the qualifiers, the first round of qualifiers, undefeated. And everybody could have thought, yeah, maybe you could have done this and done that. Bottom line is there's a W, undefeated. That's the record. It goes into the record books. And it's not like, you know, there was a call that shouldn't have happened or whatever the case may be. Ultimately, a game was played and the guys won.
It came down to the final possession. That's what's going to happen. It's going to happen more and more. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be upsets. Let's just cross fingers and do what we have to do. African basketball is tricky. It's tricky, but it's fun. And even if you can, find out what the links are for the competition this weekend, and you'll start to understand. And try and watch a couple of games. There's some good regions playing some basketball this weekend.
And you're going to be calling some of them?
I'm not calling any of them. I've got some other things that I'm doing.
Now, we bring it back to why we, you know, our main man here, special guest who decided to bless us with his presence. welcome, welcome. And I'm sure you're part of the show now. I'm sure just now, you know, he's like, yeah, no, there's no 3 guys now. There's 4 guys because he's just around the corner, especially when he comes with Whiskey Wednesday things, you know. Why not? Welcome, my brother. You heard the guys. The guys are talking about, you know what, they need the help, whether it's organizing this tournament, whether it's the Tigers actually looking for a sponsorship on their own, whether it's all the other associated events, whether it's basketball in general, whether it's the federation, it's tournaments. I mean, I'm not too sure where Byron's going to get that $1 million. Like, how do you even think that big?
So before we even start, let's do it this way because maybe it'll help everybody in the conversation, right? If you were the marketing manager of the Cape Town Tigers right now, what kind of steps do you take? Because that answers a lot of questions.
Okay.
Budget. We need a sponsor in order for us to have all of this sorted. You know, like everybody should have one of these. Everybody should have one of these. In fact, I've seen in like really high profile broadcasters, you know, you don't even get to see all of that. It's like all hidden in the system. So you see the microphone? Is that right? Okay. 2 fingers, like you're drinking wine. So let's just do a microphone check, make sure that my man's here can be heard.
Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2.
That's right. Yeah, we good?
Can you hear me?
That's right.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, we're good to go. So you were saying?
So I was saying, so the general, what I've experienced is there's a general misconception that there is a standard objective that every potential corporate has. And even though, yes, most corporates will look for viewership, i.e. eyeballs, that's not all they're looking for because it depends on who that corporate is and what they are already about in terms of their strategy or in terms of what those particular objectives are for a particular fiscal. So to what you said right now, or a little bit earlier, most fiscals run from April to March. We are sitting in October with a tournament that is coming up for December. To what you said, you're already behind, way behind the 8 ball. Budgets have been committed, plans are in place. It's very rare, especially during a year where there's already a pandemic as well, and people have already been cutting back on marketing budgets or on operational budgets, that somebody's got a reserve, a stash of money just sitting there waiting for a property.
So fair to say, now is actually the right time. If you're trying to look for money for 2022, now is when brands are actually planning. So, hey, contact your local marketing manager at this point and just hit them with a proposal or a plan. If it aligns with what they're trying to do, they might just fit you in.
And what I'd say is actually don't hit them with a proposal or a plan. Start by having a conversation. Listen, hey, Mr. Marketing Manager, can we have a chat? Can I get an idea of what your objectives are? What are the audiences that you're trying to reach? When you reach those audiences, what do you want them to do? And what are you already doing anyway? What are the things that you will do no matter what? Because the thing that I find that corporates get blamed for is that they don't accept proposals. But how can I accept a proposal when the proposal comes and I've already got my plans done and dusted, or this proposal doesn't talk exactly to what I'm looking for? And I'm sure we've all seen it. We've seen sometimes you get a proposal that on the opening slide, on the opening deck, it's got your name, but then somewhere down the middle, it's got your competitor's name, because you know it's a proposal that is just for banks, or it's a proposal for telecoms, or whatever, which means that it is not specifically catered to you, and therefore already you've diminished the chances of success with me because this is not for me. It is for anyone. It's a Hail Mary. So for me, that's the starting point. Speak to the corporate and find out what are their objectives, who are they trying to talk to, and ideally, do they have even any interest in sport? Even before we get to basketball, just sport.
I just want to say that not everybody's got access to a marketing manager, and gatekeepers are real. So
100%.
It's a thing.
And that's why, so one of the things that you've spoken about, and you're 100% right, Q, look at where basketball has been successful in getting money. It's when a decision maker is probably already interested in basketball.
Oh, yeah.
So if the decision maker is already interested in basketball, then there's your path to getting the sponsorship is already a lot easier. It's not simple, but it's a lot easier than trying to go and convince somebody who either doesn't know about basketball or who has a love of something that isn't basketball to now move money away from football, move it into basketball. Move it away from music and move it into basketball. So that's why sometimes your property, your definition of property doesn't start with being basketball. It starts with being audience. Mr. Client or Mr. Corporate, you say to me that you are looking for a middle market audience that is 18 plus, that is urban as well as semi-urban, that is in universities, young professionals, right up into starting out married life. You like a funky, hip type of audience that has got some disposable income, that is open to new things. That is the audience that I want to talk to. If I can show you that I've got access to that audience, I'm interested. Even before you say, and guess what? That audience is the basketball audience. You started by showing me that we have a commonality in the audiences that you're trying to talk to and that I can give you.
Okay, let's do two things, because that's segmentation, right? And that's you're getting into your individual consumer. But let's go back to the Cape Town Tigers example, because I think it's very relevant, because there are people who are watching who have clubs, and so whether there's a community funding model that everybody's pushing, where they go to the lotto and then you register and you have to tick all of those boxes and you're more than likely going to get funding, but it's a little bit more different to get funding from a private sponsor or from a private company. So if you're the Tigers, or if you were managing them now just based on the back of this, it is October, it's kind of ripe, you can approach certain marketing managers. Where do you go?
So I'd go everywhere. So to your point, I wouldn't just say I'm going to look for sponsorship. I'm going to look for funding. I'm going to look for donations. I'm going to look for sponsorship, but I'm also going to look for partnerships. And by partnerships, one of the things that most properties need to do right up front is make sure you've got a media partner. Because as soon as you've got a media partner, there's much more likelihood that your property will be getting airtime, will be getting visibility. So you want a partner so that that partner can also give the potential sponsor some airtime. You also want like partners, i.e., as opposed to asking people to give you cash, go and be specific about what are the costs that you need covered. So if the costs are accommodation, let's go to hotels. If it's transportation, let's go to bus companies or car rentals. If it is basketball and equipment, let's go to the technical suppliers. It could be waters, energies, ice. Let's go to those guys. And all the time, remember that it is easier, again, to give your product than to give the money. So again, that is what I'd be looking for in terms of who are the potential partners before I start looking for cash. Then when I go and I look for cash, I'm also starting by saying, how do I value and what is the value of what I have to offer? So as an example, on a score sheet, we were discussing this the other day, on a score sheet, there are 12 players. That means on the bench, there will be 7 guys plus 5 on the court. They have numbers. Now you start looking at technical and say, how much of that shared space is available for a brand or for multiple brands? So that maybe you're not going to one sponsor to say, Mr. Darkchild Productions, please sponsor my entire team for 2 million rand. Maybe you are going to 10 or 12, because there are 12 players, you're going to 12 different smaller sponsors and say, you will get one shirt, you will get one shirt, you will get one shirt. And again, if we are saying, like perhaps Ra was starting to suggest, there is no real hierarchy in the team members, then everybody's shirt is the same cost versus, okay, no, what we know, the starting 5 will have a slightly higher cost and then whatever. So there are many different things that I'd do, but I definitely wouldn't start by saying the cost of partnering or sponsoring the Cape Town Tigers is 5 million rand. I'm going to the big corporates that can afford 5 million rand. We're not going to get a cent. I would rather be going and saying, if we need 5 million rand, I'm going to make a list of 20 entities that can potentially give me 500,000 each. and I'm going to those 20. Because if I get the 10 of them, I've still got my 5 million rand. And I'm doing that now, understanding that there is this 6-week period. Because again, you want to give the corporate as much mileage and visibility as possible. You're not going to say the tournament is happening in December, your returns only start in December. No, your returns start now. So part of what, as a marketing manager, you're also doing is, where's the content? Where are the other opportunities, even pre-tournament, that there can be visibility, that there can be interaction with your staff, with your customers, with your CSI partners, with your other business partners, etc., etc.
With the brick, with SABC. You know what I mean? But let me add to that. You know, like, so there's two things that I want to make a point on. First of all, if you want 5 million, you're gonna have to have a relationship. You know, you want 5 million in about a month. It's just gonna be one of those where you call the MTN CEO, you know the guy, hey, listen, do me a favor, and he says, look, and he calls somebody and says, hey, give me 5 million. 5 million. There's a good story here. Let's see if we can make it happen. Highly unlikely. It's like winning the lotto, but it all depends on the relationships 100%. That you have. To your point, what you can do is you partner with, let's say, a radio station like 702. 702 speaks to business people, and you make basketball bigger than it really is, because perception is reality. You know, people might think basketball is not big, but actually you can make it bigger in people's view of hearing it. What we did with, back in the day, we partnered with YFM. We had a show on YFM. We used to talk about NBA on YFM. We had a show on SABC, and everybody thought, wow, there's basketball here on YFM, basketball on SABC. So I'm thinking, you know, the next move here is for what is the 702 sister radio station, KFM. You go to KFM, you tell them your story, you book a slot, and that becomes a slot where you come and update people about basketball, you discuss basketball, and all of a sudden it looks like basketball is really bigger. It might actually be bigger than what you present it to be, but you're talking about basketball, people who are in business are talking about it, it's an opportunity that they want to be involved in. And yes, to your point, it might be 100,000 Rand of many, many different sponsors instead of asking for one big chunk, because that takes forever to try and close.
And I mean, they're great stories that you can leverage depending on how you want to speak to whichever market. Chris Gabriel is a nice story that you can have, because here's a Cape Town-born guy who's gone across to the U.S. and has played professional basketball in 4 or 5 countries, and then come back home and is playing for the Cape Town Tigers. It's a great story. So is Peter Prince. But Cape, it's more relevant to Cape Town because, you know, you've got the Gabriel brothers who are there. Yeah. And one thing Cape Town Tigers have done well, they're visible, right? They're more visible than any basketball team that we've seen in a while. They're making an effort, and you can see that they might not have the spend that you'd expect in terms of marketing, but first they had to make sure, the first thing you got to make sure is you got to get the win. The spend can increase post-December, making sure that you get the W. So, I mean, just speaking to what you're saying, the difficult thing about this proposition is that it actually relies on results. Yep. So we can go ahead and start propositioning brands and saying, look, here's the following that we've built. I can show you what we started with, and here's the growth in a month. Then we can start to track growth going a little bit further, and we can speak to how this is going to impact, because here's the BAL, and this is what it did, and the BAL did 1 billion views in the period that it existed in May. That's real. It's who it spoke to. We're going to have this visibility, how it speaks to them, and how people relate to us, if we are the face of the BAL or not. We're still a great story throughout it. Ferroviario de Maputo last year were a great story. They were. So was the Rwandan team. The Patriots were a great story. All they did was leverage J. Cole. He was in there, and this is a great story because of the home team. Can do the same thing. But I'm just emphasizing one or two things that can be a point of reference and that you can put into a story for the Cape Town Tigers to start a partnership. Because, hey, KFM, Chris Gabriel is here, you know, something.
But part of what you're saying as well, and again, for me, it is so critical to be clear about these potential partners that you're talking to. Because again, BAL has got at least a continental as well as global.
They want us to call it BAL.
Oh, sorry.
Like we don't say NBA.
NBA.
We say NBA.
BAL.
They want us to call it BAL.
Okay. So again, so when you go and approach a potential partner, you don't want a partner whose only focus is South Africa. Because then that audience of 1 million plus is not sitting all in South Africa. So immediately somebody sort of, no, thanks, you're not talking to me. So exactly what you're saying. And then even in the selection of media partner, you almost don't want to limit yourself. You want to open it as wide as possible. Because again, I've been in this game for a while. I would never start with KFM. And I know you're using it as an example. Why? Just because of the listenership. Even though, yes, there's a business audience, but Good Hope FM has got a much bigger listenership in the Western Cape. Even Umhlobo Wenene, which has got an even bigger listenership, we might think, but hang on, does it have a business audience? When you start talking absolute numbers, if it's got 7% business audience over 5 million listenership,
percentages.
So for me, those are all the things that when I say you have to actually be thinking and engaging with your partner, that's what you need to do. Because and you guys know this, many times I've been approached with proposals and somebody thinks they've got the best proposal on the planet. And they come looking good in their suit and what, and they're saying there's no way you're not buying this. And within 10 minutes of them presenting, I'm sort of, this is not for me. This is a great proposal, but it's not a proposal for me because this is a proposal for anyone. Mm-hmm. And if it's for anyone, then it can't be for me.
But the difficulty there is, how do I know what Datekai's company co.co.za needs from me, because I don't have that relationship. So how do I then start putting something together for you?
Best thing ever. Start by going to the website. Go to the website. Go to the branches. Go and speak to the consultant, the branch manager, if it's a financial. Go into the shop. Hey, what were you guys talking about in your most recent teammate? What are they making you focus on? Because people often look for the easy way. It's sort of, I just need the marketing manager. Why? Go and do the work. Go and do the work that says, if I am targeting Vodacom, I must start by going into a Voda shop. I must go onto the Vodacom website. I must go and even look there, who are Vodacom's partners? Let me go and talk to the partners. I don't have to start by flying to say, where's the Vodacom marketing manager or CMO? Let me get an idea. What does it look like? Watch TV. What does it look like Vodacom ads are saying? Where does it look like Vodacom is spending its money? Find out, go and read the annual results. There is so much in this day and age of information that's out there, but we are often our own worst enemies. Sometimes you get a proposal that the logo is wrong. And I'm sort of, you've done zero homework there.
Absolutely.
You've just heard my brand. You've gone quickly onto the website. The first logo you see, you put it on there. You have it. And there are physical representations of the brand. And, there are so many things. And for me, this is why I'm passionate about it. Because if you've done the work, it will show that you've done the work. And it will show in your proposal. And that's what makes it more likely that you'll get the money.
Because we're starting to get a bit long on time, right? I just want to try and close out. Sorry, host Cabby, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, we all hosts here. Do whatever you want.
So the thing is, we spoke about basketball sponsorship. From your perspective, how viable is basketball sponsorship in the current market? And if it is, what should we look at or what should we focus on?
So I think basketball is and perhaps as a person who's close to basketball, I've seen, and I think we've spoken about it many times, from 2013 to where we are now, 2021, I've seen the growth in basketball. I've seen, and that growth is not just in participation, it's in audience, and it's in quality of the game. So those are all things that help build the case to say, Mr. Mrs. Sponsor, here is a property that is actually on the right trajectory. You don't want to get associated with a sport that potentially is flat or is declining. You want something that is growing and that there's opportunity, therefore, for you, the potential sponsor, to grow with or to actually be associated with that growth, with that success story. So definitely there's huge potential. Increasingly, I think with the visibility of the NBA, with the introduction of BAL last year, now and with the various NBA Africa and the Basketball Without Borders and the various individuals
being a part of NBA
and
Africa.
the various individuals who are joining basketball, it's also becoming sexy, and more of that spotlight is being turned on to
Pearl
basketball.
2C.
So there are so many right steps that are being taken around basketball that if those steps are just packaged properly and aligned, make sure that you've aligned them with an appropriate potential sponsor. There has to be a number of sponsors out there who will say, yeah, okay, at worst, I'm going to do this to try it because you've shown me an already in progress success story that you are now saying, let me jump on for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And absolutely, that's what a lot of corporates are looking for.
This man has been waiting for a mic for a little while.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. I think I've mentioned it before that there's a number of companies that continue to reiterate that they've got basketball money. And I think for me, one of the instances where I saw this was when the first NBA Africa game came to South Africa. I received a media release, and when I was reading through, there was a page that was filled with all their sponsors. Airlines, motor companies, companies that have been here, but we have not seen them in basketball up until the NBA Africa game happened. So to Q's question, it goes back to being, if I'm the Tigers' marketing manager, those are some of the instances that I look to say, who are the companies that have recently been involved within basketball? And I especially love the Marketing 101 because this is a very great teachable moment for everyone within the game, regardless of whatever level. Within my company, we organized 3-on-3 tournaments. And in our communication to different companies that ended up sponsoring us, those are some of the principles that we had to, engage in and actually follow and implement. And at the end of the day, companies are literally there. The conversation is important, the approach is important, but also understanding the values of those companies is of utmost importance, which is why you start at ground zero and not by the marketing manager. So I'm absolutely loving this conversation because it goes back to the basic fundamentals of the money is there. All we have to do is structure ourselves, package ourselves, and just execute as we should. At the back of the announcement that now the NBA will be broadcast on SABC, immediately that tells you that each and every household in the land will have access to the NBA, unlike previously when it was just on ESPN. So even that, now basketball continues to grow and the conversation is there. So if you're the Tigers, that's part of the wave that you are riding on in terms of saying, yes, this is the NBA. And by the way, this is the pipeline that we are on that is running potentially, through or toward the NBA.
That's right.
So those are some of the conversations that when you structure them and you package yourself around the game itself. And then hopefully then everything else within the game, within the land, will start to structure themselves and put corrective measures accordingly. I'm talking to your BNL all the way to your smallest leagues, so that by the end of the day, you are putting yourself in position to say, here's a man that's on the forefront of most things when it comes to sports endorsement, literally giving us the bricks on how we need to lay this thing out.
That's right.
So you definitely have to appreciate Whiskey Wednesday and the Marketing 101 and the teachable moment that we are all, sitting in right now.
Here's something, like you're saying it all, but here's something that I think I want to say to the basketball masses. It's one thing for us to have these conversations about sponsors and corporates and all of that, but it really starts with you and me, the guys who actually want basketball. You go onto the media, if I'm a sponsor, and I'm seeing, negative this, negative that, negative. And I'm like, do I want to be here or do I want to be there? Hockey, Everybody's talking about, oh, how sweet, cute, the kids are cute when they play, whatever. You want to be associated with something positive. So it is up to us also to really, really censor what it is that we say on the social medias. The second thing, and I know you want to say something, I'll come back to you. The second thing also is the reality that if you're going to get a sponsor, you got to support it. If somebody, I remember when Engine was sponsoring basketball. Do you know, I will search for an engine for me to go and put my full tank. I will not do anything else because I feel that they are part of my passion. They're part of something that I'm really into. So why am I not supporting them? You find people, no, you're sponsoring this one goes here, there, but they love basketball. Why don't you support the brand that supports your passion? And for me, it really starts with us. We can't, if Colgate is what feeds me, Colgate is what I'm buying. You know what I mean? But you wanted to say something.
And one of the other things, as far as now connecting your dots, as far as your product is concerned, you can have all the social media pages, but one would need to have your official hub. You would need to have your official website that, regardless of what is being said on social media, somebody can easily go to your official page and say, oh, so apart from all the perceptions that I'm seeing or reading on all these other social media platforms, this is actually the real Tigers as they are, as they present themselves. You know what I mean? So things like your official website, those are some of the things that I think social media has come to make us so complacent, in terms of, no, as long as I've got a Facebook page, I don't have to have an official website. But someone sitting in a marketing office, they're like, okay, what's your website? No, I've got a Facebook page. No, I want your official website because that is where the actual product is. So things like that are very, very, very important. So teams and everyone else out there, continue to look at things like that because at the end of the day, those are some of the things that you will have that will help back you up within your presentation and all else that you're trying to achieve.
Now, I've heard it all. We have a tournament coming up in December, and I know Q want to close it, but like just as my way of closing my part, and I'm not going to say one thing after this. Got a tournament that's happening in December. We want it to be in South Africa. We want the Tigers to win. In a few words, what must be done? What can be done?
Everybody's got to go to work. And going to work means everything we've discussed right now. Go and do the homework. Go and look at your contact lists. Go and look at the spaces that you think the potential partners or sponsors. Go and chat. Try and chat to the Cape Town Tigers to be clear about what is it exactly they need. What is it that they're trying to deliver on? And what are those already, what are their brands that they've already got in their minds as potential aligned brands, aligned partners, aligned whatever. Then do the same from the other side. Have the conversation, start to plant the seed, perhaps to what maybe Juice you were talking about. Start to plant the seed in the minds of people who haven't been speaking or talking about basketball. Hey, you like sports. Haven't you seen what's happening in basketball? Hey, there's this channel on Facebook and on YouTube. Go and look at the Basketball Sheriff. Hey, Q's got a show. Go and listen to Vision. Hey, hey, have you seen now that SABC is showing NBA? Make sure that all the seeds are planted so that as the person comes, that person who's looking for the sponsor comes. Yeah, actually, somebody else was talking about. So this thing that you're talking about, things have to be maybe not coordinated, but concerted. If we're all pulling towards building basketball and we're all doing it deliberately, the results will come. But if some of us seem to be pulling only towards building one type of basketball or one part of basketball or one area of basketball, then that is where we're going to find that there are gaps and there are big opportunities missed.
Q?
Do the right thing on November 6th, whoever is voting and electing. I'm going to leave it right there.
And we are actually going to follow through on that next week and unpack more of that and talk about the processes and all that. But absolutely right. To echo that, boom, baby, do the right thing.
Right. So this is something I'm going to throw in as a challenge to myself and a challenge to everyone else who say they are supporting the Tigers. Ra, what you need to do is open up a bank account where you can do some sort of fundraising. I'll be the first one to put 1,000 rand. And in fact, the brick will put another 1,000 rand. And I'll call some people to put more 1,000 rands. And we can't be saying we're supporting you if we're not financially supporting you. So at the end of the day, if you want to see South Africa being successful, if you really are a true follower and a true supporter of the Tigers and a true lover of basketball and a true, like a true fan to want to come and see basketball happen here in South Africa, let's see if we can raise 100,000. I'll be the first one to put the money. So at least I'm putting my brick. Let's see what happens.
And I think before that account is closed, in the meantime, everyone can just put the money in my account.
All right, ignore that. Ignore that little part. But this is serious, though. And this is what I'm saying, right? It doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be you who is putting in 1,000, 10,000, 20,000. It can be your company. You can go there and say, look, guys, this is what's going on. 10,000 to a company is nothing. Imagine 10,000 from 1,000 people. That is enough to get this thing going. And I think that's something that we haven't looked at. We're talking sponsors. We're talking this, that, and the other. Ultimately, if we love basketball enough, we should be able to back it up. I've also asked on the Facebook page to say, yeah, like we could have done this for Jozi Nuggets or whatever the case may be. And I asked the guys, if Jozi Nuggets needed money, would you put money behind it? And I'm not too sure if anybody responded to my comment on the social media. And I'm saying, I want to see Tigers succeed. I want to see this tournament being hosted here. And $1,000 from me, hell, we can even go bigger. All I'm saying is open up that account and let's see how many people are true fans of basketball. Not of the necessarily Tigers, but to try and see if we can bring basketball at the highest level here in South Africa. And with that, I am shutting this thing down. I'm throwing these guys out. My name is Cabby Magongwa. I got my man Cabby, I got Q, I got Juice Ndlovu. We're signing out, Joel. I think it took a little longer than it should have. Almost 2 hours. We can talk this for days. Peace out. And hey, don't forget, my man, my production crew, this is Basketball Sheriff. You need to go out there. You need to put the stamp of subscription. You got to subscribe because you got to grow this thing. If you love this thing and we love what that we're doing, you got to subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we sign out. Shout out. Oh, yeah, we got 1,000 subscribers. We've been having 1,000 subscribers, man, All right. This is Cabby Magongwa and my crew, signing out. Peace.